Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about the medium range. It will be for this upcoming week. So really, I would say the short to medium range. This isn't really the long range. So, this video will be probably titled Fall Lake Pattern Setting Up. This is just for this upcoming week, really ending around Friday, August, whatever this upcoming Friday is. I don't have that good of an orientation. And after that, it looks as if the fall like pattern will break apart and we'll be expecting some warmer temperatures. But as of now, let's get into this video. Before we do, if you guys would like to subscribe, I do all sorts of weather-related content. There may be a misconception going on this channel. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm a hobbyist, weather enthusiast. I am decent at forecasting, but I'm not a forecaster, I'm not a professional. So please, for decisions upon severe weather or hurricanes or winter storms, National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center are your best bets. Let's get into this. So again, consider subscribing if you'd like or liking the video. That'd be awesome. Now let's get on with the video. So if we were to look at the GFS, what I want to start off by showing you is really how powerfully dry, if that makes any sense, this upcoming air mass is. So basically what's going on right now is we have a storm centered across southern Canada. It is basically right northwest of upstate New York, north of Lake Erie and Ontario. And this storm has been delivering some showers, some thunderstorms, some rain to Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New York, and even parts of Illinois, Wisconsin. And it will continue to do so, but as it moves forward, it makes way for this cool air mass, which I'll show you the temperature anomalies in just a minute. It is some pretty cool air, but also I just want to show you, this is the relative humidity, which basically indicates the moisture in the air, in other words, and how much the dew point, and what all that information, all that good stuff, basically all in one. And you can see that what we have here is basically a really dry air mass. And if we were to look at these are the percentages. You can see that these are the humidity percentages, and if I could figure out how to scroll down on this, it shouldn't be that hard. It should have. There we go. You can see that we have anywhere from 0 to 90 to 100. Now, an 100% humidity is very rare, and it does happen, but it doesn't happen too often. Just like a 0% humidity. You know, those are like the extremes of the scale. The average is around 50. Obviously, you can see kind of like that medium, the midpoint. And if you were to look, again, the further, in the summertime, we get more humid air masses. In the wintertime, it's more dry. And you can see that this is a pretty dry air mass. Now, it's nowhere near 0, but it is getting towards that 15, 20%, which is pretty dry. And 0% humidity is probably harder to come by than 100. And you can see that 20, 25%, that's considered very comfortable dry air. That's kind of like that desert-like air, you know. There's often referred to as a desert heat, or really like the muggy heat. And the desert heat in the southwest is, you 110, 115, but it's dry air. It's less humid. There's less water in the atmosphere, in the air. While the Gulf of Mexico, say Florida, that's known for its muggy heat. And it's, for many people, it's worse, the mugginess, because it kind of feels oppressive, and it feels like you're getting kind of choked by it because of how the air is kind of, just how it is, oppressive, humid air. And notice that with this cool air, we get a lot of dry air across the Midwest, and this extends all the way to the Gulf Coast. I mean, you can see that we get into Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. We get that dry air. The West is also dry. The only areas where it is pretty moist, it could be the Front Range of the Rockies. Really not that bad. A bit above average in terms of the humidity, but nothing horrible. Where it's going to be noticeable is really the East Coast, and that's because of the remnants, or the tropical storm Isaias. And this one, it's a tropical storm, so it's gonna have a very high humidity level, and you can see it brings in a ton of moisture into the Northeast, and that's why tropical storm warnings and watches are already issued all the way up into portions of Long Island. And you can see as that moves out, the drier air takes its place, and it really kind of dominates the eastern United States. Way more dry air, and then again, it ends right around Friday. And conveniently, this is when the forecast model ends, because it's still progressing all the other hours. So we have to go back to the 12Z model run. But you can see generally on the same page, generally agreeing with the other model run. There hasn't been any large changes, but if we go forward in time, you can see that we start getting some of that more green showing up. Still not a green, I guess, dominant pattern, which is the high humidity. I should have said that instead of using colors. Green, brown. Well, that's what the map uses. But you can see that it's more of a mixture. It's not really dry down. And really, the early forecasting period, the next, I would say, 80 to 90 hours are going to be dominantly dry, and it's going to be pretty darn dry. If we were to look at that 2-meter temperature anomalies, which shows us where it is above and below average, you can see that there's quite a bit of blue, which indicates it is below average comparatively to the regular August temperature. So if in Chicago, if your average August temperature at this time, August 2nd, is around 80 degrees, 81, you could be looking at lower 70s to mid 70s, which is very pleasant, and especially with the dry air, it's gonna be a very nice relief. And I'm just using Chicago as an example because I know its averages, because I live there. But anywhere else in the east, really, in the Midwest, where you see this blue, will be the case. Even across portions of the South, it may get as far south as northern Florida, the dry air. It necessarily won't be cold or below average down there, but it will be drier, which is nice. And you can see that this sits around for a while. I mean, you can see Wednesday, Tuesday. These anomalies are definitely considerable. They're 8 to 12 degrees in Celsius, so possibly up to 20 degrees in Fahrenheit below average. Definitely not of the question. And we've continued this into Friday and into Saturday. Notice how it starts dwindling. We start getting more of that heat. We start getting above average temperatures, and then basically by the next upcoming weekend, the pattern completely breaks and we get more of that heat. Possibly some cooler air tries to make it in, but really it looks as if August will again be like July, dominated by heat. Maybe a bit to a lesser extent. It will be obviously a bit cooler because on average August is when things start cooling down in the first place. So it will be on a regular year it would be cooler than July and any typical year. But with July being extremely hot, it's gonna be hard to top it. I think it may be just a bit cooler, and you can see some of the models are showing indications of a bit cooler air towards the north, trying to make its way into the United States at times. But generally, I would have to say that August is going to be pretty darn warm, and unfortunately, that seems to be a pattern for most of the fall. I think this year will be a warm fall, and that may seem like a bad thing. And I guess it does, because in the South, it's just going to be hot. Really, fall is very hot in the South. But at least the foliage across the northern U.S. is going to be beautiful. I mean, they need warm and nice nights, and cool nights, warm days. That's when the foliage turns the best. And they also need, they don't want frost or freezes very early. So yeah, this year could possibly be a very, very good year for beautiful fall foliage. So that's definitely something to watch for. If we were to look at the European model, I want to show you the European model. This is also the same thing, relative humidity at 500 millibars. And you can see that we have, again, much drier air moving in. We have the storm to the north, which brought showers to the Midwest, and also Tropical Storm Isaias, bringing lots of moisture to the north and east. But again, you can see that this dry air is just you could see, we have it labeled here, 2%, 1%, just really, really dry. And up here we get, up to 100% of humidity, which is just ridiculous amounts. And you can see that it's very, very, very dry. These locations across the south are going to be nearing 1 to 3% humidity. Further up north, some spin back from the cyclone could be bringing back maybe some 50s. But generally speaking, if you live across the east and Midwest, you'll be looking at some drier weather. And then again, by Thursday, we could start getting some of this more moisture-filled air. Still not overwhelming. You can see 50% is usually still considered comfortable. It's only when it starts getting into those blue shadings where it just gets unbearable, into those 90s and 100s and 80s. But you can see that after that, the pattern breaks and we don't see much drier air at all. So you can see how unique of this pattern this is, that we get this big dip comparatively to the longer range, where this is usually more typical of what happens during the summer. We get this east to west flow, or west to east flow if it's just a moisture fueled air, or south to north also of moisture fueled air. And America's surrounded by a huge ocean, so it's hard not to be filled with moisture, other than in the winter and fall times where things are working against its favor. So we'll get a real nice taste of fall this week across the Midwest, and even across portions of the southern U.S. But again, it will be short-lived. And there will be a few places where it's going to feel anything but fall. It's going to feel like very humid, oppressive heat, summer-like temperatures. If you look at the 8 to 14-day outlook, this is from August 10th to 16th. So this is already after the warm-up, or after the cool-down. You could see things start warming up. and minimal indications of cooler air, mainly dominated by warmer air. The confidence is a bit lower because it's 8 to 14 days out, but still, 70 to 80% confidence is still a relatively confident, if you will. Now let's take a look at a 6 to 10 day outlook. The 6 to 10 day outlook, this is already, again, after that cool down, really maybe the end of it coming around the 8th, and you can see that they're also showing much above average temperatures across much of the United States. Maybe a bit cooler towards the northwest, and again, I've been saying that if anywhere this fall it looks to be a bit cooler, it's in the northern U.S. and the northwest. Really, the central United States and into the east coast and south will remain rather warm this fall, I'm pretty sure, and this August for sure as well. It seems to be the pattern. I also for the winter, if you're wondering what my thoughts are, I already did a winter outlook, so you can go check that out. But for the winter, I feel as if it will be a bit more, there will be definitely a higher chance of below average temperatures across the north. But as of now, fall, as for fall, it just looks downright warm. And unfortunately, there aren't really good indications of any big cool downs in the fall, which is a bit of a bummer. But to be honest with you, I kind of want a warm fall. I still have a lot of crops growing in the garden, and I want to get those finished. I want to get those. I just planted carrots a few days ago, and it's August. But if there were to be a really short fall, I may not get them in. If it's gonna be a nice long fall, we got our first frost in November. We'll definitely have carrots, so I'll take that any day over just a few cold fronts that I usually like, but I'd rather get my crops in. Precipitation, again, random. We get a stripe of, generally Great Lakes will be wetter, the east will be wetter, but the west will be drier. That seems to be the case really the past few years. And you can see that in the 6 to 10 day outlook also, or this is the 8 to 14 day outlook also, east wetter, west drier. That seems to be the pattern. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking this video, consider subscribing to this channel. That's all I have for you today. And I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See y'all. Bye.